Right, this is part 9 of the PrestaShop Create Module from Scratch tutorials, and in this part I'll be covering updating the tables with information you might have changed about a link. So, just to get started, most of this code is from the add link function, and the only real difference is just that you're updating information rather than inserting it, and possibly deleting information. So, I'm just going to duplicate all this code inside the add link function. So right up to where it says return true, and to make sure it's tabbed, paste it in. So some of the key differences in this is that we use the ID to identify some stuff, so in the parameters just copy them as well. But this time add ID. And in the first function, this is purely an update SQL query. So just go update, and then instead of values, it would be set and then we're just going to be filtering stuff again. So we're going to leave that other code in. Because it's not inserting, we can get rid of those brackets that were there. And in this bit we're also adding an extra bit to add the new window column. This is one of the big main differences, just that we're adding the column names because we're updating the information on them. Then equals, and that's just going to continue on, except one less bracket. Because we're not going to put an on condition on it. That's just going to be set. So this seems about right. And then just to send statement, that's also different. So we'll put in where, this is the important part, ID link, because the extra parameter we've passed is the ID, because we've actually got it this time rather than generating one. Equals, and then instead of this last part, which was in the present in the last one, where we set the ID, just going to put int, and then the ID we've passed along. So that stays the same pretty much, rest of it. Just with some small minor changes, so let's see. There's actually an extra function I forgot about, which is just after this bit. So these bits stay exactly the same, but just before the for each loop, we need to add an extra actions. And this will be one of the delete functions, so db dot dot capital D get instance so in order to actually delete information in the SQL query, put delete from, and then the usual, just make sure I don't mess up this time, I'm going to copy and paste it. From block link lang, where, and then we're referencing the ID link again, equals int, and then ID again. And then turn false if not. So you can see that this actually, whenever this function is executed, if the database deleting works, it will always delete your records from it'll always delete your records for the language, text and the language, all in the block link lang table. And the reason for that is because it just deletes and reinserts every time you make a change, no matter what that change is. So that's just kind of a method that it has to work around. It could be more efficient, but it's a lot more complicated to update than just change certain parts, because there can become all sorts of different action approaches. So it's just quicker to just delete what's already there for this the language part, and then reinsert. So that's the main reason for that. And then there's obviously the changes with these last IDs that just become ID. Since we know exactly what they were before, we're just reinserting them. And that should be it. So you can see, obviously, because most of the code's from the add link function, it's just modified. It's a lot quicker to make that function, and ignore that at the moment. I've actually just got to make sure I delete everything in here so we get an idea of exactly what's going on. So make sure just have some more records there. No? Yes? Yeah. So I'm just making sure these are both blank. You'll see why in a minute. Because we know already that whenever we load up the admin module configuration page, that the get links and add link function will automatically happen with these values. So I'm just gonna run this once, well, a couple of times to load in some records up and see that it's working, and then we're gonna add in on the display form function, which is, sorry about that, we're gonna add a function on here and then get it to execute with rest, with the rest, and be able to see the changes. So I'm just going to go into the admin and reload. So we can see at the minute there's nothing there because we've just run our first query when the table was empty. But when this page has been executed now, one record should have been inserted into the tables of block link and block link lang because of what we did before, which you can see. And if I do it again, you can see we can see our first record, and a second record should have been put in now. So yep, and you can see that'll just repeat itself every time, so that's why we need to eventually link everything up to a form so it doesn't just duplicate or made functions randomly. So let's just grab the IDs of those actually to prove something. So we've got the ID links for these here. So I'm going to pick the ID link of one of these. So I'll pick 12 since that's the bottom number. And I'm going to get this function to change the properties of this function. Just check back at the module page again. So just underneath here, I'm just going to change this to update, and I'm going to change this URL to something completely different. By the way, that is a real website. It's just a I don't mean to do any random advertising here, but you can use that website for repeating YouTube videos. It's like a repeat one if you've got, say, music videos loaded up, so it's pretty useful. But yeah, change that to 1, and this to random message. Just make sure I've spelled update link correctly. Yeah. And you can see this first record, 12, and then this URL and that 0. So this is the very first record. So we know this is going to change if I reload the page now. Well, actually, because of the that's only just been triggered now, it means we need to reload it again for it to take place. If that makes sense. So actually. Yeah, I forgot to reference the number of the ID link, so let me just delete these. So what I'm going to do here is just comment that out temporarily because we want to add a link, because we're going to empty all the tables again so we can see exactly what's going on and not get confused. So these are all empty now. Yep, so all those have got no results in them. And if we reload the page now, no results, but it'll have just... sorry, if I click that again. Right, so we've got no results, but from me reloading the page just then, the add link function has been triggered, so we have one record to work with. So we'll just check out what record number that is. That's 16. So now's the time for us to add the update link function in. So modifying 16, and we're changing it from... If I just reload this page, we're changing it from this link, which is the link to my site, and this 0 for the new window, to youtuberepeat.com and a 1. So that function will be been just triggered when I reloaded that page, so I need to reload it again to see the changes. Since that function will have only just run, it needs to be refreshed again to be seeing the changes. Just save it first, because it needs to be the last reload. So yeah, you can finally see the changes, where it's had these two before. Now it's got the new website and a number 1 for the new window. So you can see I had to refresh the page about 4 times then. The 2 were accidental because I didn't save, and the other 2 was because you need to reload the page just for the function to run, but you won't see the results of that change because it'll have only just happened after you've already seen the results from this function. So you need to reload it again to see what this function did last time. So that's it. That's that function perfectly working. And next bit I'm going to cover is the delete link function. So skip to the next part if you want to do that now.